cloud. Did you guys hear that? That was creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does that.
All right, cool.
Got it.
All right, ready, boys?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, YouTube channel, welcome to our channel here. This is our first one. This is going to be our introductory of all four of us, so you guys get to learn about us as individuals as well as professionals. So to start this off, my name is Chris Trizzino. You guys want to go around real quick, introduce your names?
I'm Patrick Daciek.
All right, I'm JY Aubone.
And I'm Gary Kushnirovich.
All right, guys. So how tonight is going to work is we have a list of questions. The goal of this is for you all to learn about us so that you guys can understand our background, what we did to be where we are in our careers. We all have different unique experiences. And the goal of this is for you all to become educated, whether it's a parent, player, other coach, business owners, whatever it might be. The goal is to educate you all. So here's how we're going to start this, boys. So we are going to do a small intro. Pat, we're going to start with you. So Pat, who are you and what is your current role in tennis?
Well, I am a tennis coach. I am the new head pro at Tampa Palms Country Club, which is a club court club. I just got done as the academy director at Saddlebrook for the past year. So I come from an academy background. I also have a playing background, and also I've coached a few WTA players on the tour. So I have a pretty wide range of high performance programming, and I'm getting into the more marketable, widespread world of tennis right now.
Nice. Awesome. Gary?
So sorry.
Hey, Gary's still, like, his pre-workout hasn't kicked in.
Pre-workout. Who are you?
It's more physical. It's more physical than mental.
So who are you and what is your current role in tennis? Let the people know who Gary is.
So my name is Gary. I am a USPTA high performance coach. I also have an ITPA certification as well as a PTR professional high performance certification as well.
Yep.
And I currently work as an independent pro out of New York and New Jersey. I work with high performance players, and what that means for myself is it's essentially the players are all looking to play at D1 programs. That's their goal, or potentially, play professionally beyond that. And I have been coaching for about full-time coaching for 4 or 5 years now. I played professionally before that. Major reason why I attempted to play professionally.
We're not there yet, buddy.
Oh, sorry.
We're not.
Yeah, you're going too long. I didn't get as long. I want more screen time. Come on.
I'll cut it.
We've got a lot to cover here. We know that you're great, and I'm gonna have questions to ask so you can exemplify those things.
Gary, I will fight you for screen time here.
All right, JY, who are you and what is your current role in tennis?
All right, so I'm a tennis coach here in the Atlanta area. I just finished 4 years working as an independent contractor for USTA player development, where my primary role was to travel with Riley Opelka. And we just finished 4 years of that. And now that my wife's having a baby, I decided to stay home, and I've started a tennis coaching company where I use match play as the main part of the analysis, or analyzing matches to determine what we need to do in practice, what we need to do for fitness, what their tournament schedule should be. So everything starts with me watching their matches, and then from there I fill in the rest of the picture.
Love it. I won't be as long as Gary, but
who are you, Chris?
I am Chris Trizino. I am currently the director of high performance at McCormick Nicholson Tennis Center here at William & Mary. USTA, USPTA, high performance coach and player development. Been coaching for 15 years. So I am currently located in Williamsburg, Virginia. So that is about me. Now, First question, JY, this one is going to be for you. We're gonna start this off. So then Pat and Gary and I can figure out what we're going to say. So
All right.
when and why did you start playing tennis? So the when and why did you start playing? 2 minutes on the clock.
I started when I was 2 and I didn't have a choice.
Oh,
So both my parents played tennis professionally.
okay.
And so they threw me into tennis. My dad had a tennis academy. My mom was one of the coaches there as well. My brother was already playing tennis. So JY had to go somewhere. So they brought me along and that was it. I mean, I don't even remember the first day I picked up a tennis racket. That's how young I started.
So you were 2-3 years old.
I mean, my parents say 2, and so I kind of have to believe them.
We'll go with 2.
Yeah, we'll go with 2.
Dang, I actually didn't even know that. Pat, how about you? When and why did you start playing?
Yeah, I started when I was 4. I was kind of forced into it at a young age.
Yeah.
My dad pushed me out there and he pushed me really, really hard. I started really loving tennis probably when I was 12. So it took me a while to get there to see how much I enjoyed it. But I started when I was 4. What was the rest of the question?
You're like the kid in the class that has to ask. When and why did you start playing?
Oh, why?
So
yeah.
4 and then why? You said because you.
Yeah. I have an older sister that also played tennis, so
Okay.
I practiced a lot with her, and I practiced with my parents, and then started loving it when I was like 12 and kept it going.
So then, Jay, how about for you though too? Because you said you were forced into it like Pat. It was like, hey, play this sport. When did you start enjoying it?
I mean, I always enjoyed it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't remember it. I mean, of course, we all had our burnout moments, but
Yeah.
I mean, I love tennis. I love competing. I mean, because obviously, like, I got pretty decent, like pretty young, right?
Yeah.
I'd already had so much time in. So no, I was loving it. I didn't play any other sports. I just played for fun on the weekends.
Yeah.
But for the most part, tennis was the only sport I played in any organized official way.
Oh, cool. Gary, how about you? When and why?
This is now starting to get repetitive. I was also forced into it at a young
Common
age.
theme here, parents: force your kids into tennis.
Yeah.
And this is why we're doing this.
It works out 100% of the time.
Yeah, my parents, my mom started me off at around, it was like almost 3, not quite 3. And then my dad took over, and my dad coached my older sister and I, and we both ended up playing a D1 program. So he did pretty well in that way.
Gary, were you born in the U.S. or you were born in the U.S.?
My sister, so I'm like first generation. My parents and my sister immigrated here from the former Soviet Union. And my dad was self-taught, and so was my mom. And then they taught us how to play. And they just really had a passion for the game. And passed it on to us. Yeah.
All right, so my story is very different. So I played soccer competitively from like 4 to 13 years old. I then moved from New York to Virginia, and the age cutoff was different from New York to Virginia. So when I moved to Virginia, I was in 6th grade, and when I started playing soccer, they were like, you have to play with the 5th graders because your birthday and age cutoff is different. And I was like, but I just moved here and all of my buddies are in 6th grade. They're like, no, you need to play with the 5th grade team. So I'm playing with these 5th graders, and I'm like, these players are absolute bots. Like, I don't want to be on this team. Like, all my buddies are in the other group. And so I was kind of like, I fell out of love with soccer. I wasn't having fun with it. I was like, I'm done with this sport. And then my buddy at the time, my friend Jake, there's no chance he watches this, but my friend Jake at the time was like, he's like, man, if you don't like soccer, maybe try when you want to play tennis. And I was like, tennis? Like, I don't, yeah, sure. Why not? So I was a member of Blacksburg Country Club at the time when I lived in Blacksburg. And there was a coach by the name of Louis Belt. Great. With my first coach, great guy, and started playing with some buddies. And I just fell in love with it. Individual sport, very different than team sport. And so I fell in love with it. And then ever since, I didn't start playing until I was 13. So that's my story. Gary, you're now first on the topic. What are you most proud of as a player and now as a coach? So JY and Pat can start thinking. What are you most proud of as a player and now as a coach?
In terms of achievements, I don't have all that many high achieving results competitively.
Yeah.
I think for me, having actually something that I talk about with a lot of my close friends who are also coaches is like currently me as a coach, I would wreck myself as a touring pro, and that touring pro would have wrecked myself as a collegiate player, and then the collegiate player would have wrecked him as a junior. So I think I'm most proud of my continuing evolving game and my better understanding. I think the most exciting experience I ever had was playing at the New York Open in front of a home crowd, which is an ATP 250 event.
Which you did really well at.
I
Played well.
I played well enough. I made it into the qualies, so that was really exciting. And I had some really great wins in the wild card event, so I achieved it through a wild card event. But having basically evolved my game to a place where I'm actually really proud of, and my understanding of the sport and how I compete has really evolved. So I think as a player, my continuing growth, I think that's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah. And as a coach currently?
So I think one of the things that I'm a big believer in is, and I find that not a lot of other coaches are, is my role as a coach is to help my players problem solve or learn to problem solve better.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, even this past weekend, I had a few players who I've been working with for, maybe 6 months, a year or so, and they're really starting to make serious improvements. So specifically, not one thing specifically, but I think as a coach, going away from like having forcing kind of one way on my players when I first started coaching, to developing as a coach where I understand that each player is an individual and is different, and being able to adapt to different types of players, and then having kids pull out bronze balls or silvers at national events right now is really exciting. And so that's I guess the biggest thing.
Love it. All right, JY, what are you most proud of as a player and a coach? What do we got?
I think player was actually my decision to quit my job at Morgan Stanley and go play tennis again.
I remember.
It was a great job. I was definitely on a great career path, but I made a decision that was bigger than money or a career. I made a decision that was strictly for my happiness, which I wasn't happy at that time in my life. So, and just to kind of be able to not have an ego about it and kind of go out there and lose the weight that I put on in finance, grind the futures. We all know it's just a grind fest out there. There's very little glory out there, stringing your own rackets, bringing your own machine everywhere. But that was a big step for me, because I was finally making decisions that were for my happiness and not for just some sort of like financial reasons or anything like that. For my coach, it's tough because, look, obviously I'm so proud of what Riley's done, the person he's becoming the last 4 years, how much he's changed.
Yeah.
Kind of how this year, it was a rough start to the year, but then how we turned it around. I actually say again, I think my decision to step away, and I guess there's a two-part answer now. My decision to step away and put my family first, and be, about to be a dad, and it's very hard to be a dad when you're away 30 weeks a year.
Yeah.
So, but obviously coaching a player of Riley's level, being at slams, a lot of people might say, well, you have to find a way to work around it. And I'm just like, no, like, for me, I've done it now. And I really, again, we've traveled so much in our lives. I really want to put like my life at home, my family, my friends, so I thought that was a big step. And then I think what I'm doing now with my coaching website, and opening the eyes and just at the failures of a lot of places in this country in junior tennis, and writing and talking and just providing help to a lot of people that, for a lot of junior players and parents, where the kids are being failed through no fault of their own, just through terrible structures put in by coaches that really just don't care enough, and so, I'm really happy just, anytime I speak to the parent and like, we had no idea this is what we need to do for a junior tennis player that's trying to accomplish this. We're like, and they're like, yeah, we don't have that. I'm like, okay. So just to keep it short, I'm just really happy now of just the recent decisions I've made in the last couple of months.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, Patty, what do you got, buddy? I'll repeat the question again, since I know you forgot the thing. What are you most proud of as a player and now as a coach?
So as a player, obviously, you guys know I'm going to say it's beating JY and Gary.
Oh, man.
That was career highlight for me,
I surfed for that match too.
That was such miserable conditions, but man, I loved it. But yeah, I'm probably similar to Gary. Like, I obviously didn't have the ultimate results I wanted as a professional. I didn't get that top 100 ranking. I didn't get to play the Grand Slams like I wanted to. But I was always able to constantly improve in different ways and learn. My progress and what I've learned in tennis just keeps going.
Yeah.
I've been able to stay humble the entire time and always know that there's more for me to learn, which has been huge. I was able to play, all the way up the sectional, nationals, ITFs, college tennis, pro tennis. So I'm happy that I was able to get kind of a taste of everything in the tennis world. So I have a really good view, and I think as a player, I didn't have the ranking I wanted, but I feel like I got at least to a level where I could see what it takes to get to the top, and it's given me a lot to kind of reflect on as a coach as well. And then from a coaching point, similar to JY, recently I've been able to make some decisions where I get to put my family first, my fiance. I get to stay home. I don't have to travel the 35 plus weeks a year that I did for the last 10 years. But on the road, I had some great results with Caroline Garcia. She got to 4 in the world while I traveled with her. And that was very eye-opening. I got to see what happens behind the scenes. It's not just what's on the court. There's management, there's appearances, there's a lot of things that go into the professional world and how to manage your time. And then working with Gabby Dabrowski, she got to the Wimbledon finals in 2019, and I got to be a part of that, which was amazing for me. I got to be a coach and really influence how we shaped their progress throughout the year and everything, which was huge for me. I mean, been able to coach at all the Grand Slams, and then I took over as the academy director at Saddlebrook, where I got to work with. I got to run the touring pro program, so I got to work with some great touring pros as well as a lot of juniors. So I got to see a lot of levels of juniors, all like from 4 UTRs all the way up to 12 UTRs. So I mean, it's the variety I've gotten to see, and then more recently, I dove into this country club job, this position where I get to start from scratch my own high performance development program, as well as work with some 2-5 teams, some 3-0 teams. So now I'm really getting the full scope of tennis, and I mean, I just love being part of the tennis world. I know I'm going long, but one thing.
No, you're good.
I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life, and the tennis community has always really been there for me. So I'm just really proud to be a part of it. all the guys were kind of a tight knit family. So
Yeah.
I really just appreciate being part of this thing and keeping it
man.
going now.
Let's
Yeah.
go. Love it. Cause so Pat, you were Virginia Tech, JY, Florida State, and then Gary, you were at Elon, right?
No, I was at West Point Military Academy and then at St. John's University.
Why do I think you were at Elon? Because it was just you were like boys with Cam and them.
Yes, yeah, I do have.
But you went to West Point?
I did, yes.
Like the West Point.
Yes.
Did it?
I mean, Gary, you got to go longer on that.
Yeah, right, dude. What? I didn't even know that. West Point has like a 3% acceptance rate.
Yeah, I had a.
He's like, yeah, West Point. Come on.
I had a presidential nomination for it, which was really cool. And
you forgot to mention that.
Yeah, it was really.
Dude, that's like so rare, bro. I didn't even know this.
Yeah, at the time I was their highest recruited player ever. I think they have done better since. But that was it was a great experience. I went there for 2 years and then I transferred to St. John's University after.
Before I go, like, how do you forget that? I'm just curious.
I didn't. Oh, was that supposed to be part of which blurb?
I mean, how are you not proud of that? That's incredible to get a presidential nomination. Like, that's which president?
That's a great question. So it was,
Maybe I should have asked that.
yeah, it was 09, so it was Obama at the time. Yeah.
Dude, that's incredible, man. Okay, well, now my turn. All right, so my most proud as a player and as a coach. So as a player, I mean, it's funny going to these tournaments as a junior. I mean, I started late. I started when I was 13. I was looking to find a place to potentially play college tennis when I was 16, 17. But at that point, I only put, 4 years in. I was so late to playing tennis. I just didn't have the years behind it. I was looking at the D3, D2 schools to try to get involved in something. And at that point in my life, tennis wasn't the focus, right? I was trying to do the thing that was socially acceptable. So I wasn't going to pursue playing tennis. I was going to pursue being a physical therapist because it sounded better and it looked good. And it would have been approved by society and my family. So I was like, I'm not going to play tennis. So I kind of put that on the back burner a little bit. And until really, my mid-20s, as tennis became a huge part of my life, I started coaching at 17, 18. And now I've been coaching full time now for, 15 years. And at around my mid-20s, I had this great idea to sell everything I owned, furniture, my car, to fund my tennis touring. And I did not have the biggest playing background. And so I think as a player, by the way, meeting you guys at tournaments, the fact that you all even gave me the time of day with me being unranked, never getting a ranking, some, Joe Schmo going to these events. I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that as badly as I got beaten down week to week at futures events, I kept remembering why. I kept reminding myself why I was there. I actually, as the time went on and kind of started to develop as a player, and I really wanted to become fully invested as a player. I was like, I want to see what this life is like. I had always committed myself to learning the most as a coach, but week to week, I did the full schedule. I mean, I was at every tournament every week. I was doing my practices. I was training. I was treating it like I was a professional. Sometimes I had some good wins. I split sets with some guys that were in the top 1,000. And that was exciting for me. I was like, wow, I'm, at least I'm kind of holding my own. But so I think as a player was being absolutely beaten down week to week. I traveled to South Africa. I did that, traveled internationally, I think one time, I went 10 weeks without a win, and just continuing to invest into myself and experience it as a player, and to know, even though I didn't achieve a world ranking. Till this day, I think I could go out there and get a doubles ranking, and I'm going to do it. 100%. I'm significantly better now, and I'm going to do it. I will get a doubles world ranking. That's my goal. But no matter what happened, I was still so committed to learning as a player, because I was always so focused on the coaching aspect. And so I think the thing that I'm most proud of as a coach is my commitment to myself and always betting on myself through my entire coaching career. I put it all on the line. I had so many people tell me that coaching was a poor decision, that you can't make a career out of it. You can't make a life out of it. I would tell people that I'm a coach and they go, "Oh, so what's your real job?" Like, this is my real job. And I work my butt off day in and day out to become the best version of myself. And so the thing I'm most proud of as a coach is me wanting to become a complete version of a coach, and knowing that I had to check some boxes off to become that. And so one of that was going and playing professionally. I literally put everything on the line. I sold everything to fund my tour. And so, but to learn anything that I knew that I feel like I needed to become developed as a coach, I did it. I left a pretty high paying job in Maryland as a director of high performance to go move to Florida and rent a room at Anderson Reed's house, because I shout out Anderson, because I was like, I want to move to Florida and experience Florida, and I want to coach on tour. And then Anderson gave me that opportunity. And then Quinn gave me the opportunity, as Pat, you and I talked about a lot. And I was grateful for those opportunities with people, for people to give me those chances. And so I'd say that is the thing that I'm most proud of as a coach, is doing everything possible to become the best version of myself, because on paper, I'm not going to get the same respect as other people, because I didn't play college tennis, because I didn't have a college ranking, or not college, a professional ranking. People might view me as that I'm not knowledgeable, yet I have done it all. And so I felt like I've always had to kind of do a little bit more to get that respect. I didn't have the Harvard degree on paper. I had the community college on paper. And so I had to do a lot of stuff to get that validation. So
yeah, but Chris, sorry to jump in. I mean, look, I'll say it because I know you're not going to say it, but I mean, you've made a difference in a lot of kids' lives, whether it was on the court or off the court. And I know this, I can say this because of the conversations we've had. Yeah. So I know you're too humble to say that, but these people that say all that stuff, you do more for this world than those people ever will. So, I'm just going to put that out there for anyone listening.
I might need to step aside and cry a little bit. That too. That too. I mean, I will agree to that. I guess that's kind of like Gary's West Point.
West Point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a part of a lot of kids' lives and have saved lives, actually, from, it's a different time, but have genuinely saved a couple kids' lives through tennis. And, being the difference maker for people is a big deal. And I think that's why I found myself back in junior development, because I think that that's ultimately where I belong, to be able to help kids and mentor kids. And so, Janeway, thank you for that. That's woo. All right, next question. Patty, you're going to start us off.
Yo, all
and
right.
you might need the whiteboard for this question.
All right. Should I chart it out?
You might need to chart it out. You might need to. So here's the question. And I think this kind of is a play on from our previous questions. And I think that this is where we might be able to go a little bit more in depth. And then this is the last question of it, because I think this, and then we might have a little mini discussion. How did you develop your coaching method?
Ooh.
So whether you want to talk about your coaching philosophy or coaching method, kind of your approach to getting on court with a player. Obviously, all four of us have a little bit of different experiences. I think the viewers have all heard our stories. I think they got a pretty good idea of all of us, of who we are with these questions, and it gives a good background and understanding. So out of all of your experiences, the things that you're proud of as a player, as a coach, why you started, how did Patrick Daciek's coaching method come together? 2.5 minutes on the clock.
All right.
84.
Yeah.
Go.
All right. Yeah. No, that's a great question. I was very lucky to be around a lot of great coaches, a lot of diverse great coaches throughout my career, and then coaching with. So I'm from Maryland. So I started with some some local coaches here and there. I ended up getting to one of my first coaches was Dave Marshall, who ended up being the Bryan brothers traveling coach the last few years they played on tour. I trained at College Park for a little bit with some great coaches, Vesa and Frank Salazar and Oliver, and just a list of great guys. And then I got to work in college with Jim Thompson, Jimmy Borndame. When I went back to College Park to train, I worked with Chuck Creasy, the famous Chuck Creasy, the directionals madman. And I got to see how a structured method like directionals Chuck Creasy works and how it benefits, and also the downsides of it. I got to see the flexibility of different coaches throughout the years. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of other coaches that I'm missing out on, but I got to see such a wide range of coaches that all of their methods work, but also all of their methods can falter at times.
Yeah.
So I've really looked into that on what makes a really good program, individually and then across an academy style. My big thought process over the last few years has been that academy side. What makes a great academy? Coming from Saddlebrook, and also training with Dennis Kudla Jr. or Francis Tiafo at the prime of College Park and seeing all these great players come out. And the big thing that I've seen is culturally and mentally are the biggest things that make a program good. You can have a countless coaching styles, but if the culture of the program is weak, the results are going to be weak. So there's that. There's also, I know what's worked for me and what hasn't worked for me, and I've had probably every issue as a player. I was crazy. I had every
Pat, you weren't Pat, come on, you weren't crazy out there. You were calm.
I remember I played.
You were insane.
I remember I played Felix Auger Aliassime first round of a future, and I threw my racket over the fence in the warm up. And
in the
warm up, I was having a rough go. Let's just say that. But I remember since then, whenever I see him at a Grand Slam, he comes up to me and he's like, "Pat, are you okay, man? Are you okay?" And I'm just like, "I'm okay now. I'm okay. I got it all, sorted in my life, so we're good." But
love it.
So just to summarize, my coaching style is very adapted to the individual player. I don't think one set structure works for across the board. So the more you get to know your player and their personality, you kind of want to collaborate with them and have them understand which way they go, and then kind of work with them on where they want to go with their game. Because if they don't want to go the same place you want to go, it's not going to work. And I don't have time, but yeah, that's basically the gist of my thought process.
Let's go. All right, Gary. Mr. West Point presidential nomination. Bench is 375.
I'm never gonna live that down. No,
I'm just disappointed that I have an affiliation to West Point. My stepmom's dad was a colonel through West Point, so that's really cool. I think that's awesome. All right, Gary, how did you develop your coaching method? Let's hear it. By the way, viewers, that is seltzer.
Seltzer. It is seltzer. Trader Joe's seltzer. A lot of what Pat just said really resonates with me, especially having the conversations with your with your players, and having them be a participant in their development, especially for high performance players, because at the end of the day, they are the drivers of the bus. Right. They can have input from so many different places, and they're going to travel and have exposure, and somebody's going to come over and tell them one thing, and then they're going to hear something from their parents, and then something from you as a coach, and maybe they go to a clinic and they hear something else. And so um, I think a big part of it has to be this like open format, right? There has to be a lot of conversation around the game. And that largely started with how I was taught how to play at a young age from my father. My father and I would watch film, countless hours of film, and then we would go and we would test things out on court. And then we would come back and then we would rewatch, off the camcorder what I was doing. And then we would talk about it and be like, how did this align with, what we're trying to do? Does that look like Murat Safin's backhand? It does. So perfect. And, you would go and you would feed off that. And so a lot of what I do with my players is video analysis. We watch film over Zoom. We talk about on court. We do a lot of recording. We play it back. I ask them a lot of questions like, what do you see? What would you correct? And then they're like, well, I'm here for you to tell me. And it's like, I could tell you, or I can help you figure it out. Right. And if I just tell you, it's like that idea of you could bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Right. So I could tell you, but it's not going to serve you well when you're in a third set and all of a sudden your serve breaks down if you don't know why your serve is breaking down, because you haven't watched yourself serve enough times, right? You don't know your tendencies. Being exposed to a bunch of different coaches from junior tennis to college tennis, and eventually I pursued playing professionally. Not to play professionally, it was because I had fallen in love with coaching at the time, and I had never experienced playing internationally. I had never played a junior ITFs. I had never played, other than Orange Bowl was the only event I ever played that was an international event. And so I wanted to pursue playing professionally to see what it takes to actually play at that level. If I could get myself there, then I thought, and I believe that I can get other players there. And what the traveling did is it exposed me to different coaches, different thoughts across the globe. And I was very fortunate to work with and have conversations with a lot of, up and coming players and their coaches and get exposure to that. And so for me, my coaching method is I'm a numbers guy. I do a lot of testing with my players, whether it's like target testing, situational testing, and then we use all that data to then push their development and allow the data to feed what we need to be addressing. Whether it's, if a player believes that their forehand is their weapon, and then we do simple target testing and it's actually a liability. Okay, well, we need to address that. And why is that breaking down from to what like certain situational games or pressure situations force them to think, and how we can address all of that. I think a big part of all of that is centered in self-coaching, because that's how I learned. And I believe that is one of the best ways to develop as a player, if you have an understanding of your game. And that is where my coaching method is centered in, is understand your game, understand your weaknesses and your strengths inside and out, and then help players develop it so that they can use their strengths better and protect their weaknesses better.
Let's go. All right, JY. How did the JY develop his coaching method? And if you want to get into a little bit of your coaching method like the boys did, you can. But the question is, how did you develop your coaching method?
I mean, I've heard this line before, and it's just as true as can be, which is we stand on the shoulders of giants. I mean, none of us have created anything new, right? We've learned something from somebody somewhere, and it doesn't have to be in tennis. I've learned something from every coach I've been with. I've learned something. I read a lot of books. I've learned. Last night I finished another book, Think Again by Adam Grant, just getting you to how to think about things. Just and I've just tried to put it all together in the way Patrick said it very well, is just adaptability. I try to take everything I've learned, and then depending on the player, what's the right method for them? What's the best way to communicate with them? And that's it. And then I go from there. And, my thought process will always be, how can I get the most out of each day? And that's it. And every day can be different, but you can still get the most out of each day. So what do I need to do that day? And I think that's where, borrowing a page out of your book, Chris, is sometimes it's just having a conversation and seeing what's going on. Sometimes, you have to really get to know the player. You have to understand them. They have to feel comfortable enough to open up to you. And only then can you really understand, how can I coach this player? And then, the final thing, just short on the coaching method, is, I have to watch you play your matches.
Yeah, big time.
Because if you knew what you were doing wrong and your mom and dad knew what you were doing wrong, then you would have fixed it by now and you'd be the best player in the world. So clearly there's something not quite there if you're telling me everything that went wrong, but you're still not like winning a lot more than what you used to based on those lessons or clinics you're doing with me. So I need to watch you play. I need to see for it myself. And then I can see, okay, what needs to be worked on. Because sometimes it's not just a forehand or backhand thing. It's a lot more than that. So, yeah.
Cool.
That's me.
I love it. So for me, for how did I develop my coaching method? For me, the tennis is actually secondary. And the reason for that is, like you just said, JY, and, kind of a collection of everybody else's answers, is I've had my fair share of experiences, not even tennis related, as a person. How I know that we can all probably think back to a teacher off the top of our heads. We all have that teacher in school who we loved, and then we all have that teacher that we just absolutely hated. And I already know the ones off the top of my head. And I already know the ones who made the biggest impact, who taught me the best, who made me feel the best, who cared about me the most, who saw me as, as a unique individual and didn't try to change me as who I am as a person. And so, I'll talk about it from that perspective, where I think a lot of my coaching methods initially, the how-to coaching part or the how-to teaching part came from a collection of that, came from my teachers growing up. I look back to the ones that made me feel a certain way, and those are the ones who I was going to allow into my life the most, because I knew that person cared. So I'm more willing I'm going to step into that class and go, this teacher cares about me. So I'm going to put forth my full effort because I know that they actually want to coach and teach me. And I think we've all experienced the same thing where, we probably have a coach that we had as a junior, or we had a coach, or even a teacher. It's like, man, this person cares. Like, I'm going to put forth my full effort because I know that this person can actually make a difference in my life. And so, and then the other really interesting thing for me where I developed my coaching method from was also because of, I got two more things, was because as a student, I was not a good student academically. I was awful. I could study. The teacher would be like, all right, class, the class average was an 89, the lowest score. We had, 13 A's and 12 B's and 1 F. And I'm like, wonder who that loser was. And then like, I get my test back and it was me. And, so for me, it was like, there's obviously so many different ways to teach and coach things. I was always the kid in class that could hear a teacher do a lecture. And I'm looking at my partner like, do you understand what they just said? And they're like, yeah, it's easy. And I'm like, yeah, it's easy. And I'm leaving the class like, what the hell did they just say? And so I was that kid in school that just didn't understand anything. They said, read a chapter, you're tested on it. I would read the chapter and I had no idea what I just read. And so I always try to put myself in the shoes of the athlete, and they're learning something for the first time. And, because we know what the forehand looks like, because we know what the movement looks like, because we know what the serve looks like, they don't. And they also don't know how to absorb that information. And so my coaching method was not only from my personal and academic experiences as a failing student, because I didn't really have many teachers that were able to grasp my attention and understand the way that I taught and the way that I learned. And so everybody else exceeded and excelled, and I didn't, and I'm just barely scraping by because I didn't have the teacher that was capable of teaching and coaching me. And then from the tennis perspective was, JY, like you said, your quote, and I paid attention to everything. I watched all of your guys' matches when you guys played. I watched everybody's matches. After my match playing, I didn't go back to the hotel. I stayed on site. I watched people train. I watched what they did. I watched what the top coaches did with the top players. I literally would just watch from afar. I would try to listen. I would eavesdrop. And then, I had two people early on as, two of the most organized people who could organize and run clubs. And so kind of like you guys had a long list of people, I was constantly paying attention. I was like, they're doing something better than I can do, and I want to learn that. And I observed, and I did that my entire career. I still do it to this day. I pay attention to what people post on the socials. What I think, there's some stuff that I've seen recently that I'm like, that's a really well done. That's a really good way of introducing that information or trying to get a player to feel something. So overall, I really target on how I make them feel, how they feel about themselves. Are they going to be willing to listen to me? And a collection of all those things. And it's worked for me. So I stick with it, and I keep trying to develop it and make it better and better to become the best, educator and coach and teach that I can be to these athletes as a coach who develops, kids from scratch. So that is my background and how I developed my coaching method. Hey, thanks, Gary. Thanks for the applause. Thank you. All right. So that is all of our questions. So we're gonna close it up here, guys. First off, thank you all for joining this. This is awesome. This was just our first video of so many more to come. The goal of this tonight, everybody, was for you all to get a good idea of who we are as people. We will have so many more things coming up. We're gonna be meeting probably every week. It's looking like we're meeting on Monday nights has kind of been the thing for right now. Then we'll post a video on a Tuesday or Wednesday. But any closing comments that we have that we might have forgotten about, like being presidentially nominated for West Point, or any maybe we should close with a personal fun fact, maybe before we end on this. Anybody got a fun personal, like Pat, you're really into like anime and Marvel. That's a fun fact.
My coaching style actually comes from Dragon Ball Z and Naruto. So that's kind of where everything's based from. And then we branch out from there. So
you guys watch anime film on court? Like, is that like?
Yeah. No, I couldn't tell you the amount of times I stop and I'm just like, okay, let's watch this Vegeta training sequence. And this is how we do it. We got to fight more. You got to want it more. So.
And how they all have like an individual superpower based on their character.
Yes, that's brilliant.
Wow, Pat, I'm just saying you could add that to the.
Yeah.
You could add that, to your 10 minutes. You're gonna see it on like your whiteboard on the back. It's gonna be like 10 minutes, like warm up, and then 10 minutes anime film. Anybody else got some fun? JY, you're an incredible chef on the grill.
Trying, man.
You cook up the meats. You're going dad mode. I'm still waiting on my Atlanta invite because the cooking looks great.
Well, you were invited 2 years ago and you still haven't come. So I would just say I love being out there. I love just being out in fresh air, having a nice shaded spot for the grill, and since it's a charcoal grill and the Argentinian style it's pretty manual. So like you're constantly moving charcoal back and forth and create it. So
that takes talent.
A lot of practice. So
Gary,
I was just gonna say I've messed up a bunch of burgers and tuna steaks and chicken. Yeah, I've messed it all up and somehow. So don't think that you just wake up and you're a good chef.
Right, JY?
You gotta about the reps.
You think you follow the recipe well, you're set, but it's not that simple.
Man, yeah, you got to find the right temperature with coal. That's not easy.
Exactly.
Wow, you're doing it the real way. Gary, any fun facts for us? What do we got? You're a big travel guy. You like
Here-
your weekend trips.
He's the only guy I played that ate a full thing of oatmeal while I was on court with him.
They train that at West Point.
I'll never forget that.
Oh, man.
Ready
I
to go
still-
oatmeal packet.
I still eat literally like I get because I'll do like 13-hour days or 12-hour days, and people message me like, "When do you eat?" And I'm like, "Do you know me? I'm constantly eating." So I guess Fun fact: I eat every day, all day. All day, every day. That's very, very specific to me.
I love it.
I know none of you guys eat all day, every day because that would be weird. But
I
Yeah.
love it. Well, Gary, how tall? You're like 6'2", right?
okay, let's get that straight. I'm 6'4".
Okay, just kidding. 6'4". You're like 6'4", 230.
220. So I guess the fun fact, if we're going to talk about weight, is at one point I tried to join the 1500 club, which is 1500 pounds between deadlift, squat, and bench, and I hit like 1300. And at the time, I had a wrist surgery, so I could only get. I had a cast on my wrist, so I only could get 3 plates with a bench with the cast before it made my arms bleed. So
Okay, I'd be in the 500 club maybe.
yeah, so I was doing like 505 deadlift and 495 squat. So that was at my time at West Point. So that was good. I was really focused on tennis at the time with my fitness.
Well, I don't know if I have any good fun facts to. I don't know if you guys. I came up with fun facts. I don't know what mine would be.
You have really stylish hair.
Dude, you like that?
actually,
I've grown it out. I've grown the hair out. Yeah, so I do have stylish hair, and I do use it's called like chalk mat or something. I don't know, but it works out. I might get a mullet though. We'll see. Anyways. All right, guys. This was awesome. I'm excited. We will. That's my fun fact, that I've recently grown my hair out after having it buzzed my entire life. And the girlfriend likes the long hair. So if she likes the long hair, then you know what? We're gonna stick with it. And we decorated our tree over the weekend. So I thought I'd have the nice little background for the video.
It's adorable, Chris. It's adorable.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. All right, guys. Thank you very much. This is great. For everybody watching, more to come. Thank you guys for watching. If you found this content useful or interesting, like and subscribe and share to your friends. All right, guys. See you. Thank you all very much. Yeah, like and subscribe. And then outro. All right, guys. See you. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. See you.
All right. Bye.